Artists rest in different places, creatively speaking. There are artists who appreciate life's airiness and are able to become taken away into this withering, sometimes confusing trajectory of creativity. Some artists prefer hard, solid ground. They need direction. A lot of the times they get this direction from reproduced trend, from pop culture, from putting their ears deep into what the collective consciousness of celebrity culture and just general consumerism is saying. Some artists like lurking in between those cracks, analyzing what we love and asking us the questions of why we think we love it. My point is, this particular artist makes me think of that question. As an artist, where do you rest? Where do you find your quote-unquote comfort zone? Your place where your art emanates from naturally, because that's where your preoccupation is as a human being. Mashayabhuqe Kamamba, sordid history, kind of jumped into the South African music scene as an affiliate of Boys and Bugs, and went through a topsy-turvy relationship with both the gang and I think SA hip-hop in general, seen as one of the first real innovators of a sound which was later taken on and fucking relay run into oblivion by artists like Java and more recently Black Diamond. And because of that, was at the center of a very controversial question of who is the inventor of that modern Maskandi trap sound. All those who know the history would undoubtedly all say he did. But I think those who pretty much are more fans of Java's more consumer-friendly sound would say otherwise, because I think the fundamental difference between Mashayabhuqe and not only Java but most artists is that he lives in a place that doesn't really care for popular culture. He's an artist who defined his sound as digital Maskandi. This is back when Malum Cool Cat was also flying in space creatively as Future Mfana. There was a group of artists in the inner city toying around with the potential of the future in its model of technology through these kind of constantly innovative smartphones, through its mechanism of technology changing the way we engage, dress, communicate, and even down to the epistemic experience of what it's like to be a person. There were artists who were fascinated by the fact that these machines seem to be taking us into a direction that is technocratically inspiring, and was zapping us into Star Trek, Star Wars, and any star-themed narrative of a space odyssey. Malum Cool Cat, as previously mentioned, was one of those who kind of did it and did it right. Mashayabhuqe cannot be left behind, because what makes it unique is AmaZulu are known for being grounded on the soil with their spears and their shields and their affirmation to be powerful. Transplant them into a future where most of them are migrant laborers and taxi drivers, and you enter into a South Africa where, being Umzulu, you're mostly seen as a primitive hothead. So the coolest thing was Zulus who were into the future, was Zulus who were futuristic. Mashayabhuqe is a futuristic Zulu, looking forward, saying how do you take the best of the archaic past and zap it not only into the fucking immediate present, but into places of possibility. He is truly an Afrofuturist in this sense. He's an artist with the courage to say, I'm not interested in what's going on or what might be going on. I'm interested in what possibly will be going on. And as a result, he's an artist who deliberately makes music that flies over your head, because he's busy flying over your head just as a dude. He floats almost in a meditative Zen stance with a carefreeness about what's around him. Latest project is called Nguniversal. Again, this man is in space, Zulu in the literal and cosmic sense. Usema Zulu, you've gotta love it. I love the idea of taking Nguni and the universe and having the audacity to say that our indigenous strands of being are whole worlds. They are vast, deeply penetrating places where you could get lost in, like the Orion Nebula or some shit. So he transplants us into this infinite Nguniverse. Love that term. And I think this is a project that, number one, is there to kind of tell all the naysayers that don't forget who started this. And number two, I can kind of understand why you forgot in the first place, because I don't make music that spoon feeds you into a pop culture spectrum. This is definitely a project for people who are more artsy, for people who explore and have an appreciation for weirdness in all of its sonic textures. This project is nothing like anything Java or Black Diamond or any other artist of that ilk would do. It transplants itself into a very electric and open, vast, surging sonic scope. The production on this is strangely alienating. And alienating in the sense that it does kind of isolate itself from everything that's happening, but also it's an alien sound. Mashayabhuqe is half Zulu, half extraterrestrial. He really has roots in other parts other than being grounded in what's going on. And that's beautiful, because in art, there are artists like this who take us to futuristic places. Futurists are important for not only art in general, but just particularly the art form of rapping and the art form of hip-hop, because hip-hop tends to be stuck in nostalgia. Heads are always complaining about, yo, rap back then used to be nice. We always see these memes about how hip-hop is degenerating, hip-hop is dead. And it's refreshing to see an artist that doesn't give a damn about what's gone before, and he's just interested in the distant trajectory of a million years from now. So you could just get out of here with your debates about in my time, because Mashayabhuqe is about breaking not only space but time. So Heaven Blues emaweni, intombi yomuntu, uthando lungaka. He weaves in these typical Zulu anecdotes: love for a girl, aspirations in the big city, proving yourself as a man, going through struggles, the typical South African story. And I think this is probably the only real practical anchor that is able to hold you in if you're an everyday listener who kind of likes hearing the tropes that affect the general person. But again, these stories are delivered in a sound scope that lifts your legs up a little bit and makes you realize there is no gravity. There is no place of going down, going up, or going sideways. You're just floating. And at this point, the frontiers are unknown. So if you're comfortable with that kind of music, if you like music that scares you off of your seat and feels like traveling into distant parts that you haven't really explored, this is the project for you. I want to give this one a solid 7.5 out of 10, mainly because of what it is, because it's a project that reaches for the stars, and I think it does that really well. Here's an artist who's taken the voices of what people have said about him and kind of answered them back and affirmed his own artistic stance, saying, I am what I am, and that is a constantly developing artistic thing. You can't tame me, and even though you try to take a little bit of what I offered, the lesson is on you more than on me. Mashayabhuqe is in an era where we've gone through a major wide pandemic and are still emerging from that with a disoriented sense of where humanity is going. And I think there's a little bit of an implicit question even in this project. He's in a way outlining the possibilities of where we could go with our love, with our relationships, in our sense of being people. And I think I appreciate that, because most artists are still back on planet Earth, blindly being pulled by the greater rope of globalism. So here's an artist who's not only cut themselves from the rope, but he's cut themselves from gravity in general. He's flying in his own unique place, and if you like flying along with him, this is a project for you. Definitely one of the most solid projects of the year, if not for its breathtaking creativity. then for the fact that you should not call this a comeback, but you should probably call it observing an unidentified flying object. But we're identifying it. Its name is Mashayabhuqe Kamamba. It is from the heavens, but it is not located simply there. It's in a vast scope. If you like that, you will definitely love this. My name is VJ, the brother from the ancient mother. It feels so good to still live in a time where artists have not been completely beat down by the hammer of capitalism into doing what everybody else is doing. How can I not shit on Aries when there's artists who are doing things like this, that are beautiful, that are a wind into novelty and newness? Fuck all that Drake shit. It's VJ.